Hi, my name is Caren Stalburg, and I'm an obstetrician gynecologist at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I'm here to talk to you today about my course, Instructional Methods in Health Professions Education. As I just said, I'm an OBGYN, but as part of my job at the University of Michigan, I teach medical students, residents, fellows, etc. And as part of a change in our curriculum, we were working through how to create a new course. And through that process, I learned that there's actually a science to teaching and to education. And so as part of that, I actually went back and got a master's in higher education here at our School of Education. And I'd like to share sort of the things that I've learned with you. One of the things that we as healthcare providers struggle with, especially in teaching situations, is that we're required to teach, but we actually don't have any specific training. So this course is meant to help all of us with the creation of sort of intentional instructional interventions, I like to call it, and improve your teaching skills. So during these 8 weeks, we'll use podcasts, readings, and discussions to think about how can we teach better. So this course will cover sort of broad strokes around educational theory, matching our instructional methods with our intended learning outcomes. We'll also learn applied teaching techniques. So how would you specifically teach someone to suture, or how might you teach, history taking? And then the most important point, I think, is to share our successful strategies, because everyone in their own place and space is an expert. So we want to be able to share with one another what great things we're doing. So what will be the useful outcomes for you? Well, we'll talk a little bit about educational learning theory, a very little bit, because theory can get pretty boring. We'll also talk about how to create your intended learning outcomes, because once you know what you're trying to help your learner accomplish, you can then best sort of create the strategy. So for instance, if I want to teach someone how to ride a horse, we can read books, we can watch videos, we can stand next to a horse, but until you actually ride a horse or sit on a horse, you really won't learn the correct way to ride. So it's about sort of matching your teaching technique with what you want your learner to gather at the end. We'll talk about instructional design and individual assessment, and then we'll kind of get into the meat of things with instructional techniques, like how do we transfer knowledge, how do we help people develop skills, how do we help them with their attitudes in terms of sort of feedback or reflection, or changing judgments around care. We'll also briefly touch on using technology. I think that as soon as I create the video module, the technology will have changed, so we'll do sort of more broad strokes in that regard. And then we'll talk best about how to apply all of the things that you've learned in your individual contexts. So I hope that you can join us for this 8 weeks coming up, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.